Hello everyone. I just wanted to see if you all have ever seen how long my hair is. You know, people, there's a lot to interpret with that. Trying to look into someone's energy. I'm sure it would be easy for people out there to kind of like get an idea of the kind of spirit I am, as we all are. Essentially, I'm trying to help everyone know that you can do whatever you want as long as you do it for Christ, as long as you do it for God, for Jesus. But, yeah, I just wanted to see if you all can see that, see the kind of energy it would take for someone to grow hair this long, you know, to have hair this long. But yeah, I have a lot to talk about, but I'm going to only talk about a few things. First, I would like to say that if every day you wake up, it isn't about how thankful you are for existing, then you're essentially denying who you are inside and denying why you exist, your purpose. Everyone is looking for some kind of purpose in life. And essentially, if you know that the being that you all are connected to essentially stamped the baseline for your purpose, stamped essentially your soul to understanding that you are a part of this thing that will do anything for God, that will do anything to serve God. So waking up each day should feel like that. Oh, what another day for me to serve God, for me to experience the things that God has intended for me to experience so that I can get to know God more than ever. I like to look at things. This is also something that I wanted to bring up because I want to show people how crazy I am and show people how crazy you might have to be to kind of like walk with me. So let me just first say that I have been alone for a very long time, as far as like you know, in this body, damn near, I mean, as long as I've been growing this hair. Okay, it's almost going to be 18 years that I've been growing my hair, right? So I've been alone for that long, essentially. And I've realized that, you know, I had to grow up to make my own decisions, but the decisions weren't made without the help of angels. So I essentially allowed the people, I would hope to God that the people that I would come across would be people to help guide me, to help understand who I am. And of course, this all began in 9th grade. So when I was in 9th grade, I was 14, okay? I want people to also understand, if anyone out there has children, I want you all to imagine that your child decides, you know, let's say that they're 14, your child decides, you know, I've been bombarded by all this stuff about Jesus. I see how cool he is. And, you know, I realize, you know, this is someone that I want to be just like. This is someone that I want to resemble. So then when this person does their best to resemble this person, you know, everyone turns around and says, you know, I mean, who do you think you are for you to believe that you're anything like this person? But even those people don't even understand who they are. But essentially, I'm trying to point out that I am the thing that everyone essentially has been manifesting, because everyone is essentially an angel trying to find God, trying to understand their true purpose. It's difficult for me to sit here and make a video about what all of our purposes is, but I can tell you that God's purpose is to make sure that you find a purpose in creation and not feel like you're purposeless, or you don't have any purpose, or there isn't any purpose in life. Because essentially, you know, I mean, if you understand anything about programming or creating games and things like that, you pretty much need an idea before you can start creating anything. And then I'm noticing it as I'm developing my own thing, that essentially things come to mind the more you put your creative energy inside the thing. So let's say I'm making a game right now, and as I'm making it, I'm realizing what's possible. I'm realizing, oh, you can do this in the software, but you can't do that in the software. So I decide to change my plans according to what I can and can't do according to the software. So this is essentially how you can look at it. And all of this is to essentially help everyone understand that God is in everything, and God has planned everything to be what it is, so that you can find more about God. So, right. What I've noticed, and it's hard for me to even say this because there's so much that I would have to explain beforehand to even get it to come across as understandable. Essentially, I spent a lot of my life, for one, it almost felt like I've wasted a lot of my life looking for love outside of myself. So I grew to not feel like I need it, and then did my best to focus on the spiritual aspect of life, the things that you can't attain physically, or more so a guide to help me go through life so that whatever I do deserve, I get, knowing that I prepared myself to get it. And I realized that throughout time, all the time that's progressed, I've even put myself in a situation where I felt like I wasted years, at least 10 years of my life, believing in something that had nothing to do with the truth. Because ultimately all of this is God's doing. And I like to think of it like, I like to interpret it like Jesus, when Jesus died, or even before Jesus died. At the end of the day, all I can see it is as, we may feel like time is linear and we're moving towards some kind of end, or something to lead us more towards something else. But if you look at it from God's perspective, before God would have created all of this, let's say, for example, God figured out that it was alone, and it needed, or it just took a long time for it to understand itself, or understand why it exists, okay? Being conscious, being aware of itself, knowing that out of everything that's in creation, it's only the thing that's aware of itself, that's aware of being. So essentially, this is how you can look at it. God created this game, okay? This game we call life, okay? And through this game we call life, he set it up to where he essentially guided people to go towards a direction of having complete faith in the thing that's inside of you, or more so having complete faith in the people around you, so that they can guide you to find out more about what's inside them and what's inside you. I mean, this is just me mixing up with the Old Testament and the New Testament, but essentially, you want to believe something outside of yourself, so that you know that the purpose of existence is more intricate, more defined than you can imagine. Because if you sat here and tried to explain to yourself why you think you're here and not include God in it, then you would lose all the awareness that comes with God, with the understanding of God, because it's almost like you're neglecting who you are, what you are, or what you're connected to. If you look at it like this, everyone has eyeballs, right? And a lot of the angels, a lot of the higher angels in creation, were associated with eyes, okay? And you can look at that like a metaphor, some kind of symbology. And if you think to yourself, let me just do this right here. Okay, if you think to yourself, You know, everyone has eyes. If God is connected, I don't know what that was. If God is connected to everyone, God must see through everyone's eyes, right? So, even more so, I mean, let me just get to the point where I'm trying to explain to you all. I'm really crazy. I am really crazy. But, the thing that's inside of me is connected to all of your eyes. Okay, all of you with eyes, you know, even everything that's, how can I even explain this? This is difficult for me to explain. Okay, essentially, the thing that's inside of me, given enough time, it would take a couple seconds with me realizing, yo, I want to look at this person like I'm inside of them. And then I instantly understand that that thing that's inside of them is the same thing that's inside of me. And that awareness is going to help you understand more about what you are, so that you cannot separate yourself from others as you interact with others, to understand the purpose of why others would even be around you in the first place. So if you said, for example, God was so alone, he created Adam and Eve, right? So he created Adam and Eve, and then now he has something to look at, you know, something to exist in, or a purpose for existing, because now there's a plan set out for people to essentially live in this world that God created, so that people can enjoy life with someone and separate themselves from thinking that they're alone, because that's not what God ever wants anyone to feel like. And the more you understand what's inside of you, the more you realize you're not alone, the more you realize how connected you are to everything. And then we're trying to connect ourselves to the things that we can't see, more importantly. But it's not like the things that you can't see is something that's so far away. It's, for example, if you understand yourself to have a dimension inside your head, and the only way to see in this dimension is to be aware of all of your thoughts, to be aware of all of the sensations you have in your body. The more you're aware of those things, the more you understand about this dimension that essentially, even though it's inside your head, is essentially everywhere. And when you understand that, then you understand, okay, people can come to you, give you energy. People, and I say people, I mean spirit, can give you some kind of message, some kind of feeling. Maybe it's not always a good feeling. Maybe it's a negative feeling. Maybe it's a spirit that came to bring you some kind of fear, because that fear was associated with a thought that you were trying to avoid feeling or thinking. And with that, then you understand, okay, as long as I know God's in control of all of this and I have nothing to fear, then that thing can go away and you can put your faith back into the thing that you know created all of this. So I'd like to say, for example, God essentially created all of this to make sense in a way that God already knew what would happen in the future. Okay, so if, for example, if I wanted to make a game and I knew that this game would require people, if they wanted to achieve the higher levels of the game, to master the game, they'd have to put their faith into something that they can't see, or have faith in the things that they feel deep down in their heart, despite anything in their environment trying to help them approve or help them find what they think to be true. Because your environment isn't going to help you, and that's essentially a lot to teach about people, to help them understand that you can be really, really faithful, but if you start depending on your environment to approve of your faith, or your environment to help you understand that you having this faith in this thing is going to approve of your faith, then you end up putting yourself in a certain level. And putting yourself in that certain level, if you don't have any plans on, for example, thinking beyond your environment and understanding that God's going to put you in an environment that might try to deny what you feel, might try to deny your faith, might try to deny how you perceive what you've been perceiving for so long. But if God knew that you could go, for example, in the darkest of places, knowing that you felt complete light in the environment you were in, being put in a place that's really dark, knowing that you'll hold that light, is essentially what's going to allow God to put you in different positions so that you can understand more about having this light in different environments. So the more you have this light in different environments, the more you understand why God created these different environments, and the more you understand what other environments other people might have to go through in order to understand more about the light that they have inside. Now, this is something also too, I mean, essentially none of this will make sense, and nobody should listen to me unless they're reading the Bible. Because none of this, I can sit here and talk to you like this, but if you haven't even read the Bible, if you haven't even grasped the type of faith the prophets and the judges or anyone in the Bible had back then you won't understand this kind of faith that I'm trying to portray to you, to help you all understand that you all need this type of faith in order to maneuver through this life, especially when everything is trying to bombard you to go in all kinds of directions. And essentially what you want is to be able to exist and be creative and be comfortable because you've been through it all. So and then of course to be able to live, to experience all kinds of feelings, and to be able to know how to help others that might come across those same feelings or those understandings or those thought processes that would help them understand more about who and what they are and what they came here to do. So I want to say, I mean, let's say, for example, okay, so I was really young, like 14, right? Imagine you're a 14-year-old, or when you have a 14-year-old, they say, you know what, I want to be just like Jesus. How can you deny this person of wanting to be that? You know, kids younger than that want to be like Sonic and Shadow and all these other people, right? But no one bats an eye about those things, right? It's only when someone wants to be something that is such a powerful symbol that it seems like it might be impossible, but it's not. And then on top of that, you know, people should also understand that that's ultimately the key to understanding the true faith in God, and understanding especially how everyone is going to try to deny you for what you feel, because you take this route of understanding that you want to be the thing that sacrifices their life for everyone, so that everyone can understand what that thing is inside of you and understand what that thing is inside of them. So, you know, people might say, you know, I know for a lot of reasons, I know that I've made a lot of sacrifices in my life in order for me to get to the point that I am right now. And people won't at the moment understand those kind of sacrifices, but there are people that do. That there are people in those upper dimensions that do understand the sacrifices I had to make for me to even get to the point where I can speak like this, for me to have hair like this. You know, you would think, you know, oh, if he wasn't following God, or if God wanted to punish him for wanting to be him, there would be some kind of thing that would try to deter him away from his thought process. But I'm still here, and if anyone's been understanding you know, my journey in the beginning, I've always said, and people will tell you if they know anything about me in the past, that I've always wanted to be just like Jesus. I've always had this inkling imagination to just resemble Jesus. And it's not so much of me resembling Jesus, it's more so I was vibrating at a frequency when I was very young. And it's not even so much as me vibrating at a frequency, but I can express it like that. I was vibrating a frequency, and then I felt like this is what I wanted to be. So I had to go through things to make my frequency continue to resonate at the frequency of the thing that I wanted to be. So the more I went through those things, especially having to go through things where, although it might seem like I wasn't resonating at that frequency of wanting to be the thing that I've always wanted to be since I was a child, let's say 4 years old, in order for me to get to that point, oh damn, not this thing. know how to work these cameras, bro. There you go. Okay. In order for me to get to the point where I can be this thing, oh, come on, Okay, there we go. In order for me to get to the point where I can be this thing, although it might not have seemed like I was vibrating or resonating at that frequency, I went through something that would jumpstart me into understanding that I've always been that thing. I was just experiencing being this thing from a different perspective, and then also being guided. I can say the way I was needed to be guided, because essentially, had someone not guided me in a wrong way, I wouldn't have known all of what I knew, all of what I came to discover. And a lot of that comes to the point of understanding that I'm going to live forever. And I say that because I wasted, as far as people might perceive me in the moment, I've wasted 10 years not believing that God was real, not believing that Jesus was our Lord and Savior, not believing all of this, right? But the time before that, I spent probably another 10 years believing that he was. Okay, so before I believed Jesus was everything, Jesus is all I want to be, God is everything, all of that, right? And then I put myself into a position where I was believing in someone that was telling me the opposite, contrary to what I was believing in. Then come to find out, when the time came for me to understand who I was, by going back to the roots of why I even started this process of spirituality in the first place, I realized, damn, God just wanted me to see how others might be experiencing life in the moment, because they don't see what I'm seeing, what I'm trying to understand, what I'm trying to help others understand. So I realized there's no way that God just allowed me to waste 10 years not doing anything, and then on top of that, understanding how God sets up everyone's life, especially when you have that much faith in Jesus, and knowing that the thing that you ask for, the thing that you work for, the thing that you pray for can be the thing that you receive. And there's only an issue about it, because I talk about people living forever. But that's not too hard to believe, because, I mean, essentially, no one's tried to kill me yet. And, I mean, I can't say that, but I can say that I haven't died yet. And because I haven't died yet, that shouldn't stop anyone from thinking that I can't live forever. That shouldn't stop you from thinking that you can't live forever. You should believe that it's possible to live forever, but there's limitations on that, because how you live forever is ultimately determined on how much you love Jesus, how much you love the fact that Jesus had to go through what he went through in order for us to be who we are, in order for us to exist in his faith, in his love, and his grace, to help us be whatever we want to be. Okay? And I'm saying this now again, I am Jesus. Okay? The spirit that is inside of me is Jesus. And it almost feels like I had to resonate to the frequency of knowing who I wanted to be ever since I was a child. Again, when I was young, my mom would ask me, what do I want for Christmas? I would always say that I want a cross. I want a cross to wear, a necklace. And you can't be like 4 years old and wanting a cross, like consistently every Christmas for whatever reason. I lost the cross or something happened to the cross. I still miss wearing a cross. I'm sure I'm going to have a really beautiful cross to wear. But I want to say that, having this perspective as a child, I know that that's just like minimal compared to the things that I think about now. And as far as other people out there, how they perceive life, they're not crazy enough. They don't understand how much more important it is for them to believe or have faith in the things that they can't see, because that's going to guide them to get to the things that they can, and then more so want more things that they can't see, so that they can see that they can get the things that they can't see, even though they don't see it. So let me just throw out some things. Like when I was young, I've already talked about this a lot, but I used to, like, people right now, they use tarot cards to like guide them, and that's like that seems really easy to me because you're using pictures. When I was young and starting off trying to follow my intuition, my heart, follow God, as far as like reading the Bibles, let's say 4 times at a point where I read it, I don't know, I can't even say that. Probably 2, 3 times, I don't know, I can't even say that either. As long as I read the Bible, I knew that God was going to guide me. So I would use the signals on my phone, okay? When the signal went up, it was a yes. When the signal went down, it was a no. Can you imagine looking at your phone back then, or even now? I'm sure now it's not going to really do that because of how good signal is. I mean, I guess 3G was really doing that the best, but now we got 5G and the signals don't really drop. So people missed out on that opportunity to see if it works. But back then, the signal bars would drop up and down. And can you imagine just, you're wherever you are and you're looking at the phone and you're looking at the signal bar and you're thinking in your head, this and this and this, no, this and this and this, yes. And then just, can you imagine just living life like that? Like, I'm not going to do anything until I check the signal, right? Should I do this? Boom. And then that's how the faith started, right? This is how I started my faith journey, and understanding that if something's going to guide me, it's going to be some kind of change, some kind of thing I hear, something that's going to, and then at the end of the day, I can say like, look, like, whatever the case may be. And if I'm talking to a spirit, I'd be like, look, I went this way because I seen this thing and I thought if I see this thing, I'm going to go this way. So who can deny me of making the right decision if God knew that I was going to go this way, if this thing showed me in this manner, showed it to me in this manner. So that was one little journey I had, right? And then I got to a point where I lost my phone because it disappeared. I'm talking about magically disappeared. I went to school one day. I put it in my pocket. Next thing you know, I'll go to grab it out of my pocket. It was completely gone. There was no way anyone took it. There was no way it fell out of my pocket. It disappeared, right? And this was the thing that I was relying on. And I know that it was taken from me essentially for me to go up another level in this game, because I was putting all of my faith in this thing, and it was time for me to understand what to do without it. And then I got to a point where I had a refrigerator. I think someone laughed about this one time, but I was literally making decisions based off the light on the refrigerator. They would have 3 lights, right? The ice, the water, and then the crushed, right? And then, sometimes the water would change to ice, and then I would be thirsty, because it would say in the Bible, oh, you should only drink from your own well. So I would not drink anything until I went home. This was when I was in school. I wouldn't drink anything until I went home, because that was my well, right? But then at home and I'm talking about like when I was 14, 15, 16, 17, you know what I mean? And then at home, sometimes I couldn't even drink water because it would go to ice or it would go to crush. And then I knew, especially when I would sit there and look at the refrigerator and be like, can I get some water? And then it would flip to water, and then I would drink water, and then it would stop at a certain amount of water and it would go to crush. And I was realizing like, okay, someone's guiding me to understand, like, I can't drink too much water. I can only drink this much water. And then this is how my life was set up at some point. And then later on, after a while, when you get a new refrigerator, that stuff don't work anymore. So I had to find a different way to, I'm sure I was using signal bars for a long time, very long time. But apart from the refrigerator thing, something mystical happened to me one time when I came from school one day. And when I was walking into my house, time jumped backwards. I can't even explain to you, but I know what teleportation looked like. And I was teleported back to this point when I was walking. And then I was walking, about to make a turn, and I teleported back. Walking, about to make a turn. This happened about 5 times, and I looked up and I realized, damn, I don't know what's going on, but I can't go to that door. So I had to run a different route and go to the back. And I already talked about this, but I'm sure I'll talk about it again in the future. This was the most mystical experience that I've had when I was young. And I know that you know, something was happening, and I know it had everything to do with God, because when I went inside, I read the Bible, it told me why it happened and all of that, right? So apart from that, that's just another thing, right? People should also understand that I think it's called erotomania, some kind of, like, they classify it as a mental disorder where you believe celebrities are talking to you, and I'm sure a lot of people get this because of what's inside of you, but you know, you have the same thing inside of you that I have in me. So when you start listening to someone and they completely say things that relate to your situation, it's because that person was guided by angels to say this thing, because they went through these things, because those angels guided them to go through these things so that they can say this thing, so that you can hear it and understand it and feel like they're talking to you, because they're expressing all of what they felt at that time, because they knew, the angels knew you were going to feel something in relation to that because of what you go through, and all this interconnected web of consciousness, of awareness, of light, you know. And then, you know, you talk about the dark side too, where people go through things because they want to hear darker music, so they go through dark things, and yada yada, same thing, right? But yeah, I was believing, for example, that I was looking for the Virgin Mary when I was young. Now, I'm talking about 14 years old, okay? I'm looking to be married to the Virgin Mary, okay? Because I knew who I was at 14. I just didn't know the purpose of the number 33, because I knew, okay, if I am whoever I think I am, and I know that Jesus died at 33, I don't know what's going to happen to me at 33 years old, or I don't know, you know, in this time until I'm 33, I don't know what to do, but I knew that I wanted to marry the Virgin Mary, right? So I looked at, and this is how crazy I am, how crazy I was, even more crazier now. I looked at Nicki Minaj like she was the Virgin Mary, because she was the only one that would talk to me in the way that I needed to be talked to, so that I can continue to build this relationship that I have with spirit, with the non-physical world, with having faith in things, especially words coming from people that I know are guided by angels. So understanding that, I believed, and it was easy for me to believe because of all of what she said, because of how what I was believing was coinciding with what she was saying, apart from the stuff where she had to, you know, divert away from the spiritual aspect of music and more so go to the physical, the stuff it doesn't really matter, you know what I mean? The physical stuff, you know, that stuff really doesn't matter. But then it got to a point, levels, to where I realized, damn, for one, I had to jump on stage, yada yada, because I felt like she was the one I had to be with. But that's fine that I was wrong about that, because God also planted a seed, because one day I'm going to present myself, or I'm going to be presented to the world. And then when it comes to no surprise that I was the person that had that much faith to do something that young, that also points to the fact that I was here. Because when I am presented to this world in the way that I'm presented, people might think, oh, I just got here, or I haven't been living here with y'all. But essentially I have proof that I have, you know. And nobody really cared about me when I did, because I essentially sit here and make videos. Even now, I'm over here talking about the future, trying to live right now. Anyways, so yeah, I did all of that stuff, and that's essentially what God does, especially when it comes to making music, especially when it comes to being creative. When you put all of your spirit inside of something, just because of how much love you have for wanting to create this thing, because it's going to build this connection to you, this moment, this emotion, this connection that you feel in the moment with God, even if it doesn't seem like it's prosperous, or even if it doesn't seem like it's successful as far as you attaining something in return, even if you just created it, that creation of energy is something that's being held in time. And when the time comes, you're going to see how valuable it was, despite anyone not seeing how valuable it was in the moment. And even more so, you're going to have way more to show how valuable what you do is, because of how much more you've done And then that's going to essentially help others understand the same process that they have to go through. Because I essentially made a lot of music that didn't mean much to anyone. I knew nobody could relate to the music that I made back then. And when I finally realized how important it was, I put it out, and still people don't understand how important it is to feel like that, to understand that path of having that much faith and being that alone, but still having that much love inside of you. And then I want people to understand, despite you seeing this physical body, this thing that's wanting to say these things is the thing that's inside of you all. And I'm talking about a copy of the thing, okay? You are a copy of the thing that's inside of me, the same thing that's inside of you. You just have different experiences and have a different perspective on life. But if you want to make sense, make more sense of your life, you want to gravitate more towards following your heart, having faith in yourself, and knowing that you have a better chance at going the path that God wants you to be on, when you don't associate the path with how much money can I make in this path, or what are the benefits of me getting this thing, or how can I get more of this thing through this path. If it doesn't include that, then you might give up on faith of the things that you can't see. And if you give up on faith on the things that you can't see, then you essentially keep yourself to this certain level of awareness and not realize that all the good things come when, for one, you believe it, you trust it, you have faith in it, you don't need to see it. And despite when it happens, you know it will happen because of how time works. And essentially, no one's going to prepare you to experience an experience if, I'm sorry, God isn't going to prepare you to experience an experience if he knows that it's not an experience that you won't experience, okay? So being prepared for the experience allows you to level up even more, because for one, you're prepared. For example, me, I'm prepared to be around a bunch of women and not blink an eye, because I know what's inside of me. I know my relationship with God, and I know that I'm not going to allow my past mistakes to cause me to fall short in my relationship with God. Especially, like, this is another reason why you want to read the Bible, so that you can look at yourself as being the thing that was in those times, having those experiences, and see what happened when those people veered away from God or chose to do things their own way. And you will see that those mistakes that were made essentially allow you to perceive life, and knowing how not to make those same mistakes, so that you can see what goes up higher than that, how much more faithful you become when you don't make the same mistakes that people in the past have already made. So I brought that up again. I mean, essentially, I'm trying to help everyone understand, wake up to the fact that Jesus is real, Jesus exists, Jesus is walking on this planet with you right now. I want people to understand, even if you do believe Jesus is coming, like, let's say you believe Jesus is coming, do you think that Jesus is going to come in the clouds as if he didn't have a life in a body? Like in this moment in time, do you think that he's not going to relate to any of us because he came from 2,000 years ago? You think that he's going to be able to speak English clearly and just, know all of our pains and sufferings and know what we had to go through if he wasn't here, if he didn't go through the things that we went through, or try to maneuver through this game of life in this moment in time, right? There's a lot of things as far as like Kabbalah. There's a lot of spiritual perspectives of life, and there's talks about how people can ascend and people can descend, okay? And essentially, this spirit that's inside of me is a spirit that had to descend to this reality, to this realm, so that I can prepare myself to do this one more time, so that I can express all of what I am, help everyone understand, especially now that there's all these videos, all this opportunity to allow God to work through everyone, because this connected web is now more clearer than ever. We're now more closer than ever. and we can be farther away from each other and yet still resonate the same frequency when we all understand the importance of Jesus, of the life of Jesus, of the willingness to want to follow the path of Jesus, and understanding that what you're going through is only to help glorify God through you, and through that is going to help people understand what is real, what is possible, especially when they didn't know it was possible, especially because they didn't have any proof. Imagine showing, for example, oh, you write something in the Bible, I believe it was Isaiah, he took his cloth, his robe, and he smashed the water, right? And then the water just rose up and he could walk through the water, right? Like, if you didn't see it on video, you don't want to believe it, right? But now we got video, right? So this is essentially the point of my process, where I'm just leaving little breadcrumbs for people, because I know how important these videos are, and I know how much it's going to help people when they realize that I've been here with you all, trying to express myself, trying to people be like, oh, where have you been? I'm telling you right now, like, I'm here right now. Like, I'm going through life with you all. I'm trying to understand when's the best time, when's God's divine timing, when will that occur for me to finally be put into the position where I'm in the public's eye, where I can actually speak all of this, you know? And again, this is all practice. So when people come see me, and when I'm seen by the world, and people are like, you know, how do you seem so well spoken. It's like, yeah, I've been practicing on YouTube for years. Nobody really listened, you know. I'm trying to help people understand what's inside of them. My purpose is to help everyone utilize the thing that's inside of them. Imagine you have this generator inside of you, and this generator is God, but the only way you can utilize this generator is if you give all the glory to God, is if, despite the path you're on, despite the environment you see, you know that God put you here for a reason. And as long as you can maneuver through this environment, if it's not an environment you want to be in, as long as you can find a way to maneuver through it, you'll realize once you're out of it, what God did to get you through it. And then truly knowing that, you'll know that, okay, if that was a level I had to experience in order to get through, in order to pass, what's the next level? And this is why it's so important for a lot of people, because a lot of reasons why a lot of things don't happen for people is because people give up on the understanding of all the experiences they had in the past, and then forget that God got you through all those experiences. If you went through all those experiences in the past, when you go through something that seems real again, that seems like, damn, like, how am I gonna do this? And then you forget that you got through all that other stuff in the past, and you forget that God got through it for you. God got through it with you. Then it's like you're gonna stomp yourself in this level, because you forget that you can get through this because God got you through all the stuff before. You think God's just gonna stop getting you through stuff? You know what I mean? So understanding that puts you in a position to keep leveling up. The more you, for example, put yourself in a position where you're different, you know, for a lot of people out there, if you don't feel different, if you don't feel alone at times, if you don't feel like no one understands you, it's hard to say that you're really on the path that Jesus is on. I mean, it's not really hard at all to say that. There's a lot of people out there making videos, you know, all these people love these people, and, you know, they can say all this stuff, you know what I mean? But deep down inside, if this person doesn't feel alone, like, for example, I can be making these videos right now, expressing myself to you all, and you all could be like, oh yeah, I love it. I resonate with it. Yeah, it all makes sense to me. But deep down inside, I know you really can't resonate with all of it, because at the end of the day, it's only so much I can even say in this video. And then for me to be extra vulnerable with you all, you know, if it doesn't make you like shake your eyes, or, you know, squint your eyes and be like, what is he talking about? It's like I might not be excelling at my spirituality, because I might not be getting to those levels where essentially you want to get to the levels where people aren't going to understand it. They're not going to understand you, because there's levels of spirituality that allow you to see things and understand things all through your mind, all through your thoughts. I can be working on something, and I know God's hands are written all over this, right? but I can't even express to you all how it's happening, what it's doing, why God is involved in my life. And I'm talking about a real big deal type of thing. You know what I mean? I can't do all of that and expect you all to understand, because if you don't already understand how that is, for one, if you don't read the Bible, you won't know, because it's all a part of God's doing. Everything that I'm doing right now is a part of God's doing, okay? And it doesn't mean anything right now to you all, but in the time, when the time comes when it does mean something, because I am seen as someone, then everyone goes to watch my videos and be like, why him? Why would I believe that this person saved me from my sins and sacrificed themselves for me? You know, and I say right now, even at this moment right now, this body is just something that I had to be in, but the time where I was in the other body, where I had to do the things that I had to do, I had to be truly like tapped in. And then even more so, it's almost better now, because there wasn't anyone that, for example, being in this life right now is easier for people to resonate with the life of Jesus, because I already was Jesus in the past, okay? When I was Jesus in the past, no one wanted to relate to what Jesus was in the past, because they didn't see Jesus, right? But after everything has been done, now the book has been made, everyone has their beliefs, everyone understands the purpose of the symbol of Jesus, and then they can try their best to relate to it. So now it's almost like I'm building a family, because now I have people that at least know a little bit more about what I am, based on how much effort they put into understanding the book, right? And it just makes it easier for me now. So it's almost like it's a setup for me to want to live forever, because now, for one, I don't have to, for example, die on a cross and then come back, and then people believe. It's like, if you believed what happened back then, what would I need to die on a cross now for, right? And then there's a lot of, that's a whole nother thing too, wanting to think about dying on a cross, because essentially I still contemplate how that's going to occur, because I know I won't die on a cross, but I more so feel like maybe I'll have some kind of situation that occurs that will bring tears to people. But then even more so, it's like the life I would prefer is people try to do their best to try to kill me, and then they can't, and then they realize, damn, he's unkillable. I would prefer that life than to cause anyone that I truly love to think that I died, and then I have to come back to show them that I didn't die. And then even more so, I know how important this body is to me, and I know how important I want to make sure it lasts forever, because you have to have that kind of love for yourself and the love for the body that God has given you to dwell in, especially when you create it as a temple. You clean it, you restore it, you transform it, so that God can live within it forever. When you have that understanding that what you believe in, especially as far as this matrix is concerned, is going to guide you to that thing, so that you understand why you believed it in the first place. So, dang, don't do this to me. Hold on, let me do one more thing. I don't know what else I should say then. I mean, essentially, what I want people to understand, let's make it even more crazier. Like I said, oh yeah, if people don't look at you like, he's kind of crazy, I don't know why he believes in what he believes in, I don't really want to be associated with that thing. If people aren't doing that, then you're not really putting all your faith in God. If you want to, like, for example, watch someone say something, give you some kind of advice, and you follow that advice, okay, that's good. You're following an angel, because an angel essentially guided that person to say this thing, because they knew that the way they said it, how they said it, when they said it, was going to guide you to do a particular thing or walk a particular path, right? So when you have that kind of understanding, and you meet someone that doesn't say anything that makes sense or resonates with you, especially when they're trying their best to resonate with you, or trying to get you to resonate with them, because essentially no one out there is going to be able to, I'm not going to be able to resonate with anyone out you I'm not going to be able to resonate with anyone out there. You're essentially resonating with me, okay? Because I'm trying to express this kind of faith that you have to have, okay? And especially when it comes to the point where people say things before I say them, that's good. Follow that as an angel. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is that I'm saying things that you won't be able to resonate with, okay? And when I say, for example, these eyes are the reason why everything exists, I'm saying that to mean it, and despite how arrogant it might seem, I can't express to you, especially I don't even want to try to express it to you through words. This heart is the key to creation, okay? The most imaginative thing that is possible is in this thing, okay? And even more so to have the faith, the kind of faith that I have in God and Jesus, to have this kind of faith, you all are blessed to be able to exist in this moment in time, because I'm telling you, despite me not being able to express it or explain it in a way that you can comprehend it in the moment, the belief that I have, the faith that I have, the understanding of what I've had to go through to have this kind of faith, and knowing that we can live forever. And it's not just so much as just living forever, it's becoming who you want to be, doing what you want to do, all those things like having dreams about flying and all that stuff. All of that stuff is going to be possible. It's just you have to get to that level of, having the faith in the thing that's doing it, the thing that's allowing it to be done. For example, you might see someone being able to do all of this stuff, telekinesis or levitation or whatever the case may be, right? If I ever come across those people, right, and I tell them who I am, and I tell them why I exist, why they exist, if they don't believe me or they don't love me because I exist, because these eyes are the reason that they're even projections, okay? And I'm not just saying that people are just projections. I'm saying that the thing that's inside of me is inside of you. But because of what I understand myself to be and can explain it through words, the least you can do is love the fact that I exist to be able to express myself in this manner, so that you understand that everything that you do, everything that you go through is because God has done it for you. God has allowed you to go through it so that you can express yourself as a perspective of God, right? And you can look at that like a perspective of an angel, okay? Because literally, when I'm talking about bringing down heaven on earth, for one, if you think about what heaven might be like, it's filled with angels, okay? Filled with angels, okay? And understanding that, okay, where's God? Where's Jesus? I'm telling you with all of my heart, this will never go away. I've seen too much. I've done too much. I understand too much about existence to let go of this feeling. I know who I am. I know that the time isn't now for me to be seen as who I know myself to be. I also know that it is not time for people up there or out there to understand, or not even so much as understand, but to express who I am, because it's going to be easier for them, people up there and out there, to express to you all who I am. But me doing this right now is me trying to, essentially practice talking, because I know this thing that's inside of me, and I know that I can't fully explain it or express it the best way I can, without showing or as much as I want to show proof. Okay, but even now, it's more so like this is the faith part of life. Either you believe me without proof or you don't. And it's not so much as me. Well, actually, it is. I mean, it's more so like, do you accept me? Because if you accept me, then you're essentially putting yourself on the path of, if I accept Alexis to be who he is, if this is who he wants to be, if he claims to be this thing, then that means that my life is going to guide me to experiencing things to help me understand my relationship, his relationship to me, or my relationship to him, right? Because I'm trying to help you all understand, like, this is a thing where you're essentially, I'm essentially calling superheroes, okay? Because there's going to be villains, and then there's going to be superheroes. And the superheroes are really the only people that follow Jesus, you know, that know that none of this is possible without Jesus. Essentially looking at it like, there's so much, bro. Essentially looking at it like an LCD screen or some kind of screen, right? And you have pixels, right? You have all these tiny little squares, okay? And if you light up one square, one tiny square, that means that the surrounding squares have to light up too, okay? And the more the surrounding squares light up, if they light up too with the original lighting square, then everyone, it just keeps filling the dark pixels with light, okay? And this is essentially what Jesus is, okay? Say it, despite how it might sound, all of creation exists because I am inside of a body, okay? Think of it like this. If I died, then there would be no awareness of life, okay? Essentially in this dimension, there would be no awareness of life. Like, think of it like this. If you looked at, let's say we're outside in the universe, right? And we have an awareness of the universe, and right now on Earth is probably, let's say, you know, what time frame? Let's say 500 AD. Okay, let's say it's 500 AD in on Earth right now, and this is our awareness outside in the universe. When we need to be aware of what's going on, see, and that's a whole nother thing too, because everything is fast forwarding, or it was fast forwarding. Damn, it was so crazy, bro. Everything was fast forwarding, okay? When the time when I was Jesus, and then when I left the body, the people that I communicated with, they had the light inside of them, okay? So they started spreading the light, like the LED thing that I was talking about. Damn, was I supposed to say LED? Yeah, LED thing, right? So being here as Jesus, the LED thing happened, right? Then people understood what was inside of them, what was truly inside of them, this thing that was going to help everyone have this faith and have this understanding about this dimension inside of them that was going to help guide them to understanding who they are inside. Because essentially, the more faith you have in your heart, the more faith God can put words and thoughts and feelings inside of you to help guide you, because God knows how you're going to be guided through the frequencies and the energies you receive, right? So understanding this while things were occurring, you know, it was almost like a fast forward, because I have no recollection of the time of all that's passed. I only have the recollection of being in this moment right now, and understanding that I was at least in the moment when I was Jesus. Because of how much faith Jesus had, I understand that's the same exact kind of faith that I have. So it's almost like I had to leave like a blueprint, a template for that life. And it's more so like, you know, this thing inside of me is inside of everyone, inside of everything. But it's only certain lives when someone has complete faith in God, and not just faith, but the setup is right. Once the setup is right and things are recorded correctly, even if it's not recorded correctly, it's at least recorded correctly in a way that's enough for me to help understand who I am, so that I can continue on fulfilling this thing that I've gained through understanding this recording about this other life in the past. So understanding all of that, my goodness, you know, it's difficult for me to try to express all this because I get lost. So understanding all of that, things just fast forward, because then it's just me being everything and no awareness of things to be everything, to slow everything down. So essentially everything's been slowed down, okay? Everything's right now is slowing down as far as like awareness is concerned. It's not just happening all on earth until the time comes where God comes back in a body, and then things just slow down. You know what I mean? Does this even make sense? Because being here now allows me the opportunity to put that much faith in God again, but even more so have all this knowledge and understanding about all these other lives. And now I have a complete understanding of what's possible. Even, I mean, what's barely possible, let's say, because I don't know all of I know anything is possible, that's for sure. It's just the route that it's going to take to get to those impossibilities. But I do know that living forever is possible. I know anything is possible through Jesus, as long as you know anything, as long as you know everything is Jesus, is of Jesus, is connected to Jesus. And when I say Jesus, I want to say like Jesus is this thing. This is something that people should understand too, what Jesus is. Jesus is a symbol, let's say, for God wanting to put its awareness inside of a particular person or inside of a body, okay? I'm talking about, and then to speak about God, as far as God and angels are concerned, there's something that has to see, okay? And then something that has to have the heart and the imagination to appreciate all of what it sees, okay? And then also appreciate the things that it sees and hope that the things that it sees does more than what it already knows it can do, because the thing that sees it wants to see it do more, okay? And this is the thing that's inside of me, trying to express myself to you all, to show you that you all can do so much more if you only knew that the thing that wanted to see you do it was the thing that was living here with you, experiencing life with you. I mean, even more so, you know, I can say that my life has been maintained to a certain extent, so I don't get more than I need, so that I can always humble myself when I have to, so that even people around me can look at me and be like, damn, what are you doing with your life? You're not doing anything. You don't have all the things that we have. And it's like, my perspective is, you know, you only have those things because you feel like you need those things, so you want me to see that you think that I need those things so that I can get them, but you only realize that you want those things because that's what's going to help you find purpose, not knowing that the thing that's inside of me is trying to help you find more purpose than that, because there's so much more you can do, because there's so much more I want to see you do. You know what I mean? So again, like I'm saying, I mean, if it was so much more easier for me to not be able to see this body and just express myself as angel, as energy, then you would just know, you know. But hopefully people, for example, if you were to close your eyes and understand that if we close our eyes together, we're in the same place, you know, despite our physical environment, we're in the same place, you know. And knowing that this thing that's inside of me is trying to get you to resonate, to at least feel the way I do, or feel some kind of remnant of what I feel, so that it can click you into understanding all of what you can do. Because essentially, like I said, being the thing that sees you all, and this goes back to like ancient Egypt stuff, you know, when you talk about Ra Harakti or Nut, or, you know, stuff like that, you know, like there's a field and there's a focal point. The focal point is and always will be Jesus, okay? It's just Jesus came in different bodies, different forms, but there were certain things that weren't or can't be expressed until certain time frames occurred and certain perspectives were understood. And you know, it's like, it's wild to even say, bro, but anyways, what I'm trying to say is that yeah, I mean, if no one doesn't feel a little perturbed about me saying that, like, if I can express it to you like this, right? I know the thing that's inside of me is the thing that created Adam and Eve, okay? And with that understanding, I know that this is how much I love you all. This is how much love is inside of me. I would rather create Adam and Eve, knowing what I am, so that at least the thing that's inside of me, I can see that live in two different beings that grow to love each other, that go through life together, that experience hardships together. Me knowing that that thing that's inside of them is inside of me, or I am the thing that's inside of them, and I'm just watching them like a movie, knowing that I'm in them, so I'm being them at the same time I'm being me, because me being aware of them is putting my awareness in them, helping me understand why they exist, giving me an understanding of why I made them. So when I say, like, for example, like that, it's almost like, you know, it's difficult for people to understand, but that's the thing that Jesus was too, you know what I mean? So knowing that, it's like this life is for me to see you all do all of what you wish or dream to do. It's just all of that you wish and dream to do is barricaded by layers, by levels, okay? And you have to get through certain levels to have a certain amount of faith, to know that the thing that you're trying to dream of is blocked by certain doors. But those doors, you know, they can get broken through if you had enough faith in yourself and knowing that God's going to provide it for you, as long as you put all of the glory into God for what you receive, even in the moment. And then knowing that me, despite the environment that I'll be in that might try to deter me away from the dream that I had, knowing that this was something that I had an agreement or a vow or some kind of connection I made with God through this thing that I wanted deeply in my heart. God's going to put me, like, let's say I want to be this thing. God's going to put me in through all these different environments, through all these different situations, and be like, you still want to be this thing? And if I be like, yep, I still want to be this thing, and then they put me through a bunch of different other situations and environments, still want to be this thing? Okay, you know what? Since you still want to be this thing, you're this thing. Okay, what I mean? I mean, this is what happened. Anyways, so yeah, so that's why I'm trying to help you all understand, like, you really don't dream big enough if it's not making you seem crazy, you know what I mean? And in order for you to get to where you want to be, or where you should be, or at least to where God wants you to be, because God wants so much more for you, then you'll at least understand that if you can raise up your dreams, but then also understand, in order to get this high level dream, you got to go through high level difficulties, you know what I mean? And then that's going to put you on the path of understanding that, you know, God is essentially you put all of your faith in God. You give your life to God. Again, this is what you're essentially just putting in your ticket. You're clocking in when you say you want to give your life to God, you know, clocking in. Okay, whatever I got to go through to be connected to God, let me go through it. Clock in, boom, here comes a bunch of hardships. Here comes difficulties in life. Here comes feelings of heartbreak, sorrow, all of this stuff, all to just get you to realize you're sure you want to be connected to this thing, because this thing had to go through those things. This thing had to experience those feelings. And if you want to experience those feelings, if you're comfortable, or if you can endure these type of experiences, is because it's going to resonate your awareness of what you are, of what you're connected to, and that's going to bring you closer to God. Then you'll realize, damn, okay, I'm getting closer to God, but I have to go through these things. And essentially that just means that God had to go through those things, or God needs you to go through those things, so that you can prepare yourself to be in front of people, or express yourself to people who might have to go through those things, so that you can prepare them to understand more about who they are. You know, it's a lot. It's a lot. And all of what I understand can't even be expressed in words, which is why I have the benefit of my family from space that have been watching all of this. They have been watching all of what I had to go through to get to this point. And watching all of that, they're better able to express in words what I am, why I had to go through what I went through. And it's almost like I won't have to say anything because they'll do it for me. And it's not so much of me needing anyone to do anything for me as they want to serve me, because again, like I said, this awareness wants everything to exist for the purpose it wants to exist for. But knowing that, that's why bad people can't just exist and not have any consequences, as if they think that there's no God, as if there's nothing that isn't good. If something wants to be really bad, just know that there's something that's really good, and God's going to show you why God puts more favor into the thing that wants to be really good, to show the thing that's really bad how much power God has over even it. You know what I mean? And it's almost like allowing the thing that's really bad to really see, God is in this thing that's really good. And then also God has only been allowing the really bad thing to be what it is, so that the really bad thing can realize how important God is for allowing it to exist, because the really bad thing wouldn't have existed if God didn't allow it. And the really good thing wouldn't have existed if God didn't want to create something that would take out or take care of the really bad thing. You know what I mean? It's beautiful. God is beautiful. Jesus is beautiful. This creation is beautiful when you look at it from a certain perspective. When you look at it like, okay, bad things were created so that good things can get created to handle, to take care of, to get rid of the bad things. You know what I mean? Depending on how long something bad has existed for, there's going to be someone that has to experience something in some kind of way to see how wrong it is that this bad thing exists, and then how right it is for them to be better than this bad thing, to stop this bad thing from happening or existing, right? So you look at it like that and you realize, damn, this thing, God just created purpose for this thing that wants to be good, because it showed them something that's bad, that it knew that it can have the power and ability to take out the bad thing, as long as that power had something to do with God guiding it to becoming the thing that was going to take out the bad thing. So this is why all of this stuff is important. And then we live in this time right now where there's a lot of bad things that people see, but people don't realize that there's a lot of good things being prepared to take out those bad things. But if people don't realize, okay, those good things are coming from God, then they're just thinking, oh, it's some kind of like selfish thing that people, decided on their own to want to be the thing that was going to take out the bad thing. But then they forget that God allows everything to exist for its purpose, and then at the end of the day to glorify God, because it's essentially like a game, like I said, that if you all knew this dimension that God had to go through to understand what it is, to realize how alone it was, to realize that, for one, in the very beginning, what is the purpose of existing? Okay, you're in complete darkness, complete nothingness, right? What is the purpose of existing? Let me create something to at least give everyone something to find purpose in. To give, even if it's the most mundane purposes of existence, it's still a purpose of existence. And then even more so, it's not so much as the person living for themselves, but the person is also still being guided to do things for God's benefit, despite it being a demon or an angel guiding a person to do something, or despite what people might do, despite who's being guided, it's all coming from the top, okay? It's all coming so that, for one, despite what people might have to go through, the thing that they go through is going to change them to understand either more about what God is, or more about what the dark side is, and try their best to understand more about what God is, and then or more about what the dark is. You know what I mean? Like either way, it's vice versa. And I just hope it makes sense. You know what I mean? So that's really all I really want to say right now, you know? It's a lot. It is a lot. And again, like I said, you know something that popped up in my mind? It almost feels like when I see deja vu, as soon as I get deja vu, it's almost like I feel like before I came in a body, I rewind time. Before I came in a body, I rewind time, right? And it's almost like deja vu is like, let's say you take a VCR set, right? And you're rewinding the video, okay, the movie, whatever. And as you're looking at the movie while it's rewinding, even though it's rewinding backwards, you see a certain glimpse of something. Okay, you see like a glimpse of a volleyball, like bounce on something, bounce on the beach or something like that, right? You see a glimpse of that. You don't know what that was for. You're rewinding time millions, billions years backwards, right? You just see a volleyball pass by, right? You're like, whatever. Okay, you're trying to get to the beginning of the movie. You press the beginning of the movie, right? Time goes on. Okay, you grow up, you have all these other experiences. Then you see a volleyball pass on, bounce on the beach. Then you get deja vu, You don't really know what it was, but from my understanding, even right now at least, it was you remembering that glimpse of when you were rewinding time. It wasn't like you were here before. It was your awareness was on that moment, at least to help you understand that this was something that was planned. Or at least, it's almost like and then we're talking about things when it's all energy. You're looking at this thing rewinding and you just remember the energy of this thing. And then you go back and you get to the point where that thing happens and you get hit by that energy again because you remember what this feeling was of watching this thing. Like, why would I remember this? Or what makes this part of the movie so important, even though I'm rewinding it? And then it's almost like, even now thinking about it, it's almost like little pinpoints to help you remember or realize that this was something that's still putting you to understanding that you're on the path. You're still playing this movie forward. You know what I mean? So that's something that I just wanted to bring up about deja vu. I don't know if I explained it as best as I could. I hope it makes sense to people. But anyways, yeah, I have a lot to do. There's a lot that I'm working on. I'm trying to bridge this gap between this physical world and this spiritual world. And I know that I'm the best person to do it, as far as having the amount of faith that I have, that I've had in order to find where I was always meant to be. When you, for example, go through life, depending on whether your signal bar goes up or down, yes or no, looking at tarot cards is easy, okay? When it comes to looking at symbols that are just symbols, logos, whatever you want to say, and I say logos with respect, whatever you want to see that doesn't have meaning, you ask yourself, what kind of meaning can it give you? Or what meaning does it make sense to you? I'm creating something again with this. It's going to be beautiful. But where people can really make sense and angels can really come in and help you all understand the connection that's there, that's always been there. It's just there's never been a more binding, there's never been a better form of communication, or there's never been a better moment in time to communicate with spirit than now, which is why it's so important to essentially test your intuition, look at images, express yourself out of all of time, out of all the moments in creation. I'm here now and I see this image. What is this image mean to me? What is it trying to express to me? What am I trying to learn from this image? As old as creation is, this is what God wants me to see right now. And if this is what God wants me to see, is it because of this feeling that I'm supposed to have when I see this image? Is it because I'm supposed to remember a feeling that I've had in the past, or understand that I'll find meaning in this image in the future, despite not finding it right now in this moment? But do I understand what this meaning is, and what the purpose of someone putting their time and effort into creating this thing, and then God and the angels allowing this person's thing to be spread throughout time and space to land up in front of you, to express itself as whatever you're trying to find meaning from it in. I don't know if that made sense. And then when you find meaning in it, or if you don't find meaning in it, does it mean enough to God and to you that you do find meaning in it, so you go through something that's going to help you understand the meaning and the purpose of seeing this thing that you always wanted to relate to, or wanted to express this as being something that you feel connected to. When you've been alone like this, you can have this much faith in things like that, you know? It's almost like when you're not alone, and when you depend on people, especially people in the physical, then it's almost like you lose faith in understanding that there's so much stuff around you trying to guide you, that you essentially miss out on all the different opportunities to help you gain that connection or build a stronger bond, especially when it comes to you being in this dimension of understanding that a lot of the guidance comes to you through these thoughts, right? Anyways, I love you all. I appreciate you all. You all exist for a reason, okay? Whether good or bad, it's for a reason. And at the end of the day, it is all to glorify God, to show how merciful God is, to show how gracious God is, okay? And it's beautiful when you understand that the things that you worry about are only things that you worry on because you don't realize how close God is to you, or you don't realize how connected you are to God because you don't have that much faith in the things that you can't see, okay? But at the end of the day, I mean, I guess I just wanted to say, as far as like how this linear time thing works, you know, I can sit here and express myself about what I know is to come, but as far as how God plans to make things happen, it's all a part of what's going to come. Let's say I expect something to happen, but I don't know that A, B, and C need to happen before this thing that I expect to happen. So when I think this thing is going to happen, but I don't know A, B, and C need to happen, I put my faith in God, put my faith in the understanding that everyone is an angel to me, everyone seeing, like for example, knowing that my eyes are connected to your eyes. I know that you're seeing me right now, and I know that you see a bunch of other stuff that I'm not aware of right now. So I need A, for example, I need you to see this thing and need you to feel this thing, because I need B to happen in a way that'll allow C to happen, so that when all of these occur, then I know that this thing that I always knew was going to happen is going to happen. So it doesn't matter about when the thing is going to happen. It more so matters about being prepared for the thing to happen. And the more you're prepared for the thing to happen, the more it won't be a shock to your system when the thing that you didn't think would happen anytime soon happens. And then because you've been prepared, and because it didn't matter when it happened, because you're prepared for it to happen, you're also far beyond prepared, because you also have other plans for other things to happen, and now you're just putting yourself into the progress of looking to experience those things into happening. And it really helps when you especially write or leave videos or do things that's going to essentially leave a trace to show people that in the past you were preparing yourself for the thing in the future, despite not knowing when this thing in the future was going to happen. But also it can, correlate to you all when you want to, for example, you expect something or you have a dream about something and you really want this thing to happen, but you only know it can happen if God allows it to happen. So you write something or you find a way to express how you feel about this thing, about how much you want this thing to happen. It's not manifestation. Well, the whole concept about manifestation, it only happens, to help people find purpose in life. But if you want the real stuff, it comes from God. It comes from Jesus. Having faith that Jesus is going to provide it to you as long as you go through what you need to go through, so that when you do have this thing, it's not something that's going to stop you from doing anything else that God needs you to do, so that you can help others understand more about the thing that's inside of them and the thing that's inside of you. So that's all I really need to say. I don't really know, this has been jumbled up. There's a lot that I can say, but I just really wanted to express myself, and I just felt called to do so. I really do love you all. People don't understand. As soon as I think about something, as soon as I see someone, as soon as I have some kind of interaction with someone, I start thinking wholeheartedly about them, wanting them to have a good life, hoping that what their experience is enough, because I know how much I can express my understanding about life and creation to someone, but I know that people are at certain levels in life, and I know that I can't express all of who I am or all of what I understand, because it's going to cause a malfunction in people and cause people to fear me or be afraid or not want to, have any dealings with me because of how spiritual I am. So, I always hope that, everyone that I come across is being blessed in some way or another, is finding some kind of purpose in some way or another to live life. Because if I can't help them find purpose, hopefully, in general, their life will be purposeful, whether it be for them to do bad things or whether it be for them to do good things. I hope that they find purpose in life, because again, when you've created all of this stuff so that people can find purpose, and so that people don't really understand the things that I'm understanding, that would cause them to essentially malfunction and not even want to be here, if they thought damn, we really don't need to exist. If someone really thought I don't really need to exist, I don't really need to do all of this. I don't really need to do what this society is planning me to do. But then they lose the understanding of the purpose of the game, because if you lost the understanding of the purpose of the game and realize, damn, you don't really want to exist, or you don't really have a reason to exist, especially in this body, especially having to go through this life, then you realize, okay, if you don't want to see that, then you'll end up going to the place. You might go to hell, let's say, and you might realize that the hell is really realizing, damn, you're alone, and you're really the only thing in creation that, did everything it could to make you not realize how alone you really are, because you're in everything. And if you separate yourself from everything, then you're putting yourself in the reverse position and the reverse perspective of what God intended you to be, because God, for one, wants you to understand that you're in everything, but God doesn't want you to give up on everything because you find that it's not purposeful. And you'll only find it's not purposeful if you don't believe in Jesus, or if you don't believe that what Jesus did, the main character of the game, was to give you purpose. Because if you realize that you have purpose, even if you thought you didn't have purpose, you can have purpose by giving yourself purpose through other people, by doing things for others. And that's going to put you in the perspective of where God is trying to guide you to understand what God does for people, so that people can find purpose and not feel like they have no reason to exist. And then people should understand the only way people can talk like this or smoothly make sense of this. For one, I don't talk to nobody, especially like this. I talk to you all like this, okay? And can you imagine how much stuff is in my head? It's almost like it comes in my heart, then it comes to my head. It's not in words in my head. It's not in thoughts in my head. It's just a feeling like, damn, like I feel like I got to do this. I might want to say something like this. I might want to say something like this. But I know who I want to reach out to. I know who I want to express myself for. And knowing that, I just let it come out. I express myself as best as I can. Okay? And I hope that it makes sense. Despite not being even able to think about what I'm saying before I say it, I just know that all of this is coming from the heart. This is why it's so easily flowing, okay? And you would think, okay, if I'm being attacked or if I'm being messed with or if what I'm trying to say isn't supposed to be said, you would think I would be stopped from saying it, right? You would think that God would have some kind of dealing to stop me from saying the things that I'm saying, especially if, for example, you believed me. If you believed me, if you believed I am Jesus, if you believed I came back in a body and that wasn't true, and that guided you to some kind of rabbit hole or something in following your heart or understanding how powerful you are, especially when you understand you're an angel, okay, or you're a version of me in a different perspective, in a different body, okay, and you understand this. I mean, really, what could go wrong about that? But I mean, I don't really know what could go wrong. I mean, people could see, and that's the whole nother thing too, like you're gonna have to believe someone, someone's gonna come down, someone's gonna come here, someone's gonna stand in front of you and be like, I mean, I can't be like, it's not like someone's gonna be like, are you? Because then it's gonna be like, oh, you believe me and you had to see me to believe me. But if I'm like, this is who I am and you don't believe me, then it's like, you don't believe me when you see me, but you'll believe me when other people believe me. So it's almost like you're stopping yourself from understanding all the things you can have, all the things you can do by believing me, because I'm telling you that I'm here right now trying to express myself to you, to show you how I'm this thing that used to be here, that did the thing that you knew me to have done, and then now being here trying to show you that I came back, because essentially I said that I would come back, even though you don't see me in all of my glory. Okay, I don't know how this might sound to people, but I know it's going to be wild, okay? I know it's going to be really wild, which is so important. Why, for me, I need to humble myself to make sure that, I go through, I was a garbage collector, I was a dishwasher, I did all the dirty jobs, the janitor, I had to go through all of that stuff so people know, like, just like how Aladdin was like a poor beggar, or however they describe him to be. And then he became, I don't know if he became the prince, I don't know. But, so yeah, and then, I mean, it's so funny, yo. And it's like, when you have the thing inside of you, which is why you go through the things that I go through, or you at least experience feelings that I can relate to, then it's like you're going in that same path. People are trying to oppress you. You're going in that same path. People don't understand you or don't want to understand you. They're confused by you. You're crazy to them. You're going in that same path, okay? And people should understand this so that they understand what's inside of them, so that they can take advantage of that thing, and so that they can give glory to God, so that when the things come, when people come to essentially thank you, or when people come to you and be like, I'm so appreciative of all that you've done, what you can be like, and even if you don't say it, deep down inside God did it for you. Deep down inside it was God's doing. Even this person being in front of me is God in disguise, trying to show me how my heart reacts to this kind of attention. It's a lot, bro. It's a lot, bro. Music is very important. Just be careful of of how you perceive music, in terms of like, the kind of music. And if it's not about God, if it's not finding a way to, show what God has to go through, the pain that God may have to go through, looking at those persons, these artists, as forms of God. And then let me just say this too. God is the thing that sees, okay? The thing that's aware of everything, okay? The thing that's aware of the things, even if it's not just with these eyes. The thing that is in everything being aware, okay? And Jesus is the thing that's the focal point of the thing that has to understand all of what God is aware of, okay? And angels are the thing that God, if people know about cryptocurrency or something like that, you have nodes, nodes, okay? You have like a mainframe thing, I forgot what it was called, like a station, like a focal point, let's say, like a main computer, and then you have little nodes. Angels are like nodes, okay? But we're all still connected to the main thing. I'm telling you all that I'm the main thing, as wild as that may seem. Despite how I know nobody's probably going to understand this, nobody's going to probably appreciate me saying this, it doesn't matter. I just have to leave it here. I really just have to let you all understand that I tried to express myself as best as I could, despite how it may have made me seem. I mean, it can't be that bad considering what I had to go through in my other life. But and then even more so, it's like, I'm glad I don't remember much about that. But it's funny, like I was looking at the Shroud of Turin and just seeing it, like, I don't know, for some reason, like I felt something that, like I knew that I was wrapped in that thing, It was wild. And then I just realized, damn, I'm so glad that that's all I remember. I'm so glad that that's just a pinch of because I don't know how different I would be if I did remember what I had to go through in that other life. So I'm glad that I don't remember, but I know I'll probably have to see something to help me understand what I did have to go through. And then I don't know. I just hope that I still have this heart after experiencing those things. I just don't want to be, seem like I'm like so disturbed by how much I have to go through, or how much I've been through, or how much everyone goes through. I just hope that I have this faith and understanding that it's just only going to get better from here, despite having to go through things to help people understand what's necessary in order for them to get to the understanding that it's all for purpose, and it's all to help us gain purpose, whether it be losing people, losing loved ones, or certain things happening with work, or something that's stopping you from feeling like you're comfortable, and that's all another thing too, because essentially, if you're feeling comfortable, and it's almost like you're not really, you're just at a certain level and you're not really leveling up. I'm only able to talk like this because I don't talk, I just be in my room thinking, looking, observing, trying to understand what's going on in the world right now, and no better time to do that than now, right? And then another thing, I could say again, like I was going to say, the people that do all of this telekinesis and all of that stuff would stop if they didn't believe me, or not even so much as believe me, if they denied me, or they didn't want to accept me. Someone can levitate something in the air, and I'd be like, yo, I exist so that you can exist to do that. And they'd be like, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. And that stuff would just slowly go away, and then they realize, damn, like, ever since he said that, I wasn't able to do this anymore. And it's because that thing that's inside of them is the same thing that's inside of me, and I'm just telling that thing the truth. And when it doesn't want to accept the truth, then the thing that's inside of them stops doing the thing that it knew it could do, because it needs the awareness of the body to understand that that thing that we're thinking about how this person came into our life. They said they did this thing, and after they did this thing, we stopped being able to do this thing. So that gets them to understand, and then that gets them to put them back into the perspective of, okay, what if this person is this person that they say they are? And then they start being able to do those things again, because I want you all to find purpose despite all of anything that you want to do. As long as you find purpose, as long as you're understanding my purpose, nothing can go wrong, especially when you know that it's all to glorify God. It's all to glorify this thing that's inside of us. It's a lot, bro. I mean, I don't want to sit here and talk to you all day, so I'll just cut it short. I love you all. I appreciate you all. And, I don't know what you all are going through, but I can all tell you, like, being alone and having to go through all of what I've went through, being 32 years old, having gone through all of what I went through, having hair this long, I went through a lot, bruh. This right here, this is high school. Okay, this is probably this is high school. Is this my whole high school? I don't remember. Probably right here. Yeah, this is high school. I don't know what happened. I know it wasn't this long. Anyways, yeah, and I'm 32 now, so that's all I want to say, yo. I just wanted to show that, because I know that there's some kind of energy that you see with this. You understand, like, I had to go through, I had to protect this, okay? And it wasn't me so much as protecting, more so than it was God protecting me to make sure that I keep this, because this means so much to me. Because it shows what I had to go through. I can imagine not having hair and being able to look at I can look at this and know what I had to go through. Okay, let me see. Look, like right here, I know this is when I was in the illusion. From there, here. Probably this is when I don't remember actually. I used to have little clips on here to show me better. But anyways, I love you all, yo. I really do. I appreciate you all. I mean, it is what it is, right? That's what the kids say. It is what it is. I have to say what I have to say. And despite anyone believing me or not, all I know is God wants me to do this. I want to do this. I feel compelled to do this, despite how I might seem doing this. Because I know at the end of the day, this is going to glorify God. This is going to show how much I appreciate Jesus. Show how much I appreciate the life of Jesus. Show how much I appreciate all of the sacrifices that were made for me to be here, to do what I have to do, to know what I'm going to do, to help everyone understand and have more purpose in doing what they're doing. And yeah. I love everyone. And to love, you almost have to let a lot of things go to really understand this form of love. And it's only when you let those things go is when you realize that the love you were trying to access or dwell in or live in was something that, for one, always existed and is the purpose of existence, is something that, it's not outside of you. It's not outside of you at all. As far as I'm concerned, which is why it's different from me, because I want everyone to understand that people are created to love you, okay? Adam was so alone that he needed Eve. I mean, Adam needed Eve, okay? But Adam was so alone. I mean, it's just a whole bunch of metaphors and ironies and all that stuff about that. Anyways, you all are like Adam and Eve's to me, okay? Which is why you all have what we consider soulmates. Like, someone is designed to be with you. I'm different. I'm not designed to love in that way. Okay, I'm designed, like I said, for me to create Adam and Eve. It doesn't say anything about, God also had someone on his side doing things with him, like it wasn't about that. Okay, because at the end of the day, the thing that is inside of me is both masculine and feminine. Okay, so take advantage of the moments that you have with each other. Spend it wisely. Spend it in complete awareness of each other. Love each other as much as you can, so that you know that the thing that's inside of you is inside of them. And the more you understand that, the stronger your relationship becomes, because how blessed you are to be in this body as opposed to this body, and how blessed they are to be in that body as opposed to this body. And you just continue to love, because you just know that God set it up in this way, because you knew, or God knew, how much you can take in that body for that life, and how much they can take in that body for that life. I love you all. And also, let me just say that I didn't have to read a bunch of books to do this. I read the Bible 8 times. That's the only book I've really put all of my attention in. But all this other stuff, it meant nothing to me. Experience was more important than anything that I've read. Okay? And as apart from the Bible. So it's funny how at least reading the Bible put me in the frequency to understanding who I was, what God is, without having to read a bunch of books about it, without me having to go to school for it. You know what I mean? It's almost like I had to go through all of what I went through in order to have the experience, and in order for me to express myself, to realize that I know enough through my experiences to understand what God is, what Jesus is, why I'm connected to this whole thing. And I'm just trying to point out that it comes from your experiences, but your relationship to God is going to get you to have the experiences you need, so that you don't have to read books to figure out what you are and what the purpose of all of this is for. I love you all. I appreciate you all. I thank you all for listening. If you've listened to this far, hopefully it's made sense. I know if it makes sense to any of you right now, there's going to be wild stuff to come for you in the future. Okay? Because if you're on this level right now to make sense of what I'm saying right now, how grand your life will be in the coming future, when you realize how everyone's going to work to get you to continue to understand what I'm trying to express, because it's just going to be difficult for people if they don't understand it. They will. Everyone will understand it one day, because I'm going to have help with helping people understand it. And, if they have to not look like me and have different color skin, or be from other planets and all that stuff, then that's just what it'll have to be. But besides all of that, man, it's a long video, right? I appreciate you all. I love you all truly. I thank you all for existing. You all have blessed and beautiful lives to come. Trust me when I tell you. For anyone, even if you think about it like this, you watch this whole video, understand that I want to be in your presence. Okay, if you were able to watch this and grasp information about this, I want to be in your presence to see who are you, to have understood or have resonated with what I'm trying to say, or have some kind of desire to want to hear this. Who are you, special one? You know what I mean? And I want to build relationships with people like that. But I know it's all spiritual, and I know that the first steps of building a relationship if anyone wants to build a relationship with me, they have to pray to God. And that's the only way, because you can't have this kind of relationship with me. You can't have this kind of life with me if you don't have this kind of faith, or faith that's going to lead to this. Because if you don't have as much faith as you need in God, then you won't be able to understand what I'm doing for you now. You won't be able to understand how much faith this requires for me to do now, before everyone realizes how important it was for me to do this now in the future, when this video doesn't matter to me anymore. But it's going to matter so much more to you all, because it's going to help you in that step to becoming more of who you truly are. All right. It's 5:19. I love you all. I appreciate you all. I thank you for existing. I hope you continue to exist. I hope you continue to pray to God. I hope you continue to understand the thing that's inside of you is this thing that's inside of me, trying to get it to realize how important it is to just let go of what this world has tried to bind you to believe in, and have more faith in, and trusting your heart, and realizing who and what's trying to guide you to that thing that's inside of your heart. So thank you all for listening. I love you all. Yeah, I love you all. I thank you. Truly, God bless you. And I hope you all have a beautiful day, a beautiful time, beautiful month, beautiful whenever. I don't know when the next time is that I'm going to see you all, but hopefully it's good. Also, you all should practice reading tarot, practice looking into images and trying to feel different things. Even just seeing an image and trying to feel some kind of resemblance to that image is going to help you connect more to who God is, to why God would have even created that, why God put itself into the person that created this thing, to help you feel these feelings that are associated with this picture. And that's going to get you more connected to, understanding the different things that occur when certain things happen in life. Just look at it like an image. Okay, all of this happened. It's this image. All of this is occurring. I'm supposed to feel this in this moment, but I know that there's more pictures to come. There's more things to go through, because God wants to completely, fully experience itself so that it understands all of what it can do, especially when it comes to knowing that the thing that is trying to help it do what it wants to do is inside of them. I don't know. I'm just trying to make sense, at the end of the day. Thank you. Truly, God bless you.